Hi, methadone for life. That sounds like a wicked buzz anyway. Anyway, uh, yes, interesting questions. It's like knocking your head against the wall, isn't it? I feel like I've been through that all my life. It's like all the old questions, like your grandparents and your parents, and now it's us. As if you're trying to move a mountain that can't be moved. Yeah. Um. Uh, as I see it, a lot of this established infrastructure. We've come along following our parents, and they've had all these questions from their parents, and I think it goes right back to history, really. But I think the establishment that is running our society today is probably stamped back for about 800 years. But I sort of wanted to go a bit further, to a bit further back to your Incas and your Egyptian Empire when these rulers were around at the time, and sort of the build up to what we've got today. Basically, people who managed to create this group of people and have an empire that managed to rule their people, and the only thing like obstacle they ran across at that time was why did they keep getting these catastrophes that happened, like the Incas had their own problem with the catastrophes that were happening in their period, like as much as the Egyptians and Romans. But trying to sort of focus back to what you're getting at, I think when you look at our society as a whole, how my grandparents tolerated and believed in that infrastructure was around at the time, but they at the same time they didn't agree with what was happening in their life by the time they lived and died, and same as my parents, and probably I would be the same. The only difference from myself and these previous families of mine, that they never been able to communicate on the level that we can today. Uh, but I want to sort of put it in the framework that you get this established power or money, if you want to call it, that's been managing the society as well as they could for hundreds of years, and in one hand they want to do good, and in another hand they money, the society is built on money and power and money is evil. Basically, you only need to look back into history to think like how rulers obtained their power. It wasn't, I think if you look into the areas of the Incas and the Egyptians, probably like thought one of the interesting things that dominated these people's life, that archaeologists and scientists are only just finding out, is like a lot of them were dealing with like the Incas, the salvia, and the Egyptians, I believe it was the blue lily of the Nile. So in some ways that these people are on some kind of buzz with their followers and their people that believed in them, but yet they still had to prove, in those days that money wasn't the power that runs their societies like it does our society today, but they managed to answer through these buzzers of theirs why they needed to achieve all what they had achieved, because some of the things they had achieved in their time even bewilder our society today, but well, what I was trying to get at is even all these societies at that particular time, or empires, they still saw the need to bring in a third party, which happened to be religion, and religion started to come in and got involved with the people, basically, because like the Incas couldn't figure out why they were getting all these weird things that were happening, volcanic eruptions and bloody tsunamis or God knows what else they had at that particular time. It was same like all the other empires that came around. So they had to have some form of explanation to their people, so the birth of religion started. And I believe that that's why today our rulers that rule us and run our societies are very religious linked. So what you're saying, Ed, but what can we do, in our society? The thing is that what can we do? Because I think before you could abolish this power, this infrastructure that controls us, at present it's slowly shifting from religion to the money god. They realize somewhere along the line they've exhausted the road as much as compared to in years ago that religion had a lot of power and a lot of control, a vast amount of people all believing in the same thing. But now religion itself is fragmentizing into little tiny bits, and when you got that situation where you've got too many cooks in the kitchen, you're going to get some dodgy soup coming along, and so of course these people that understood it and that was running the show for the last 800 years are starting to find a new god, basically a new power that can run the show, and it's money today. And money also comes in a form of industry. So basically once upon a time that they could have used religions to go off to war and fight for the way they wanted the whole world, different society, different type of people in the world to go along with them, where they could have come and brought Christianity to different parts of the world, but they can't do that anymore because Christianity itself is fragmentized into a lot of tiny little pieces. So the way they're trying to do it now is, I believe, is through massive corporates. The power of corporates, and when you look at one corporate, you don't really understand how many other little fragments does this large corporate own, and it's so well integrated into our societies today that it's in some ways it's more powerful than religion, because as societies expand and grow, and the economies grow, they start to depend tremendously on these corporates to keep their head above the water and keep the economy going so that people are happy. So basically it's a much more powerful machine that is going on than meets the eye. And once upon a time that you could talk to a lot of these people on here, if you could imagine you had the internet, a few hundred years ago, you could started new little gangs everywhere and started to question what's happening. But and people would have followed you but nowadays, everybody works for somebody. The people who don't own their own business, but those who even own their business depend on other businesses to survive, and other people that work for other businesses, and we all depend on people with, on businesses and on the money that these businesses provide the people. So it's a funny scenario, because what we have here now today, it's a machinery that basically is operating at present. It's operating behind the scenes. We all know we put it like yourself, you put it down to money, but I think the more you go and understand about money, that it's just a bit of paper, and but yet the power that this bit of paper have, and we supposed to believe that we got this equivalent amount of gold. Our rulers and leaders are telling us to match this bit of paper that they're printing out, but there again they've lost touch with these figures that they're printing, and none of us are going to go there questioning the figures, balancing out with the goal or whatever. So yet now we've reached the stage now where we're working for figures, and we're trusting these people that telling us these figures is equivalent to the goal they have, and who is going to question these people? So we're in an interesting situation, but I think the whole thing stems back from hundreds of years ago, and even thousands of years ago. But I feel for you in a sense that it's like you're knocking your head against the wall, and the answers are there somewhere in between the line, but whether the human race could stop and don't feel in danger of having to go and earn this money and feeding themselves and supporting their families, and then I think we could progress. But at present, like, we're all stuck in this no man's land, depending on this money, being able to move on. But moving on to where? Because we're stuck in this massive groove that is not moving forward, where we can see the logic, the changes, what that religion promises. But what we're seeing is, people who have gained power created a machine that they can no longer control, and they will come in and help to operate this machine, live and die and go. Basically, this machine has got too big for them to handle, even though I would say a lot of people who kept this machinery going do not understand it and do not understand how to control it. But I think what you're going through and what a lot of us are going through it's been going for a long while. But the difference now is we've got this that we can communicate on and talk about, and probably we may start to understand ways, and may even look for this stop button that we can press on this machine, and or even halt this machine, so it gives us time to think and understand what is happening. Cheers.